Our box office top 10 brought to you this week by ComScore Movies.
Do they literally bring it physically?
Thank you very much for the box office top 10 to all our friends at ComScore.
Does it come around in a box?
They bring it on a silver platter.
Do they?
And it has a lid, silver lid, and then they lift the lid and it contains numbers and words. Mm-hmm. And those numbers are this week, number 16, Evil Does Not Exist.
Which I like. It's very enigmatic and it's very moody. It's got an absolutely brilliant score by Eiko Ishibashi, and it's from the director of Drive My Car, and they'd worked together previously on that. And it is sort of a film about the balance of nature, I think. But it has, I talked about the ending of Teacher's Lounge being enigmatic. The ending of Evil Does Not Exist is one of those things. It's not just that you'll argue about what it means, you'll argue about what happened. But I thought it was just really good to see a film that was willing to just take the audience seriously.
Number 10 is Luca.
Which is back in cinemas. Back in cinemas, wasn't in cinemas, but there was this whole thing about all the Disney films that opened during the lockdown period are getting cinematic releases.
Number 9 is Wicked Little Letters. Also, just mentioning it because it's top 10 in America as well. Mm-hmm. It's number 10 in the USA, which it hasn't been.
Wicked Little Letters.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think Wicked Little Letters is very, very funny. I've run out of ways to say that I think that Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley swearing is funny, but I think the script is actually much better. I'm still baffled that some critics really took against it, but this is its 7th week in the top 10, so it's clearly finding a home.
Number 8 is Seize Them! Exclamation mark.
Yeah, I liked Seize Them. It was, it's funny, it's scrappy. It's not quite Catherine Called Birdie, but it's got a similar vibe to it. And Amy Lou Wood, who came on our Halloween show, dressed as Miss Havisham, is really good. Again, very sweary. Lots of Nick Frost Nick Frost's job is a poo shoveler, and he takes full advantage of the jokes.
Of course he does. Seize Them at number 8. Number 7 in the UK, 24 in the States is Migration.
10 weeks in the top 10. That is a really good showing for a film that I thought was okay.
Number 6 is The First Omen, number 4 in the States.
Okay, so this is a prequel to the Omen series. Follows on from, predates. So Omen, which is creepy fun, 1970s. Damien Omen 2, as I said before, I went to school with Damien Omen 2. Final Conflict, Sam Neill. Omen 4, The Awakening. Holy fetus paparicious, Batman. And that is probably the dumbest of all of them. And then more recently, the entirely unnecessary John Moore remake from 2006, which followed its predecessor so closely that David Seltzer still got sole script credit. And if you ever get a chance, look at the making of featurette on the DVD, in which John Moore just Fs and blinds his way through the cash-strapped production about how everything is terrible and everything's falling apart. He says that he describes one of the props as the work of a special school for deranged criminals. And when he learns that the film has had the biggest ever Tuesday opening, he says that's like coming fourth in a one-legged egg and spoon race.
Wow, okay.
So it's no surprise really to say that this, which is directed by Kasia Stevenson, making a feature debut, is better than that. It's a step in the right direction. 1971, Nelto Free is American novitiate nun who goes to Rome, where she's placed in an orphanage where it becomes clear that they are trying to birth the Antichrist, which they've been doing in all these films. Film includes a lot of nods to the original.
Why would they want to birth the Antichrist?
You know why? Because in the 1970s, the world is becoming very secular, okay?
Right.
And people aren't believing in things. So, maybe birthing an Antichrist, maybe that'll be good and particularly in the world that we're in now, in which worshipping the devil in the name of God is a very big thing, not so far-fetched. So in the original film, Patrick Troughton gets skewered by the pointy thing that comes off the church. This one starts off with a pole coming down, hitting the priest on the head. In the original one, the nanny throws herself out the window. In this one, a nun throws herself out the window, but on fire. So, it's kind of all summed up. So on the plus side, central performance is kind of fun. And Bill Nighy and Charles Dance managed to keep admirably straight faces while all this is going on. Bill Nighy, you just keep expecting Bill Nighy to go, well, it's what we do. It's kind of our job. Do you remember that? We don't trust people.
Who does he play?
He's a priest.
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah,
an Italian priest.
There's a priestly Bill Nighy and a priestly Charles Dance. More importantly, the director clearly can direct and knows how to manage an eerie set piece. The period setting works well, and it's put together solidly. It also, as I said, taps into that thing which is very of the moment about church folk being sort of, kind of pro-devil stuff because, hey, there's all these mad people in America at the moment trying to bring about Armageddon. because the Bible says they have to do, just insane stuff. So on the downside, firstly, we don't need an Omen prequel, particularly when Immaculate did the Rosary's Baby thing much better. And Immaculate is a better film that doesn't have to tie itself up to an existing franchise, but it's the same story. If we are going to have an Omen franchise, and I'm sorry this is just me, can we make the details of the prequel match up with the details of the original? I hate to say this, but in the original, Damien was not born of a nun, he was born of a jackal. They actually find the jackal in a grave in Megiddo, which is where Armageddon comes from. And if you're going to do this stuff, just at least do the homework. The score dances around the original score, which of course was Oscar nominated and Oscar winning and won it twice. And it is probably the best Omen movie since the first. But to quote John Moore, that is a bit like saying being second in a one-legged egg and spoon race. However, if you take into account that we don't need another Omen movie and Immaculate already did all of this better and without the need for a franchise, it's kind of okay and it's well directed. But it is rubbish.
G.A. Doyle says, Dear Doctors, as a colonial commoner of the New Zealand parish, I was lucky enough to attend an advanced screening of The First Omen last Wednesday evening at the beautifully restored Roxy Cinema in Wellington, a splendid place to enjoy a movie. And what could be better than some nun-based terror to while away the evening? Alas, I went in with low expectations, and when the obligatory quiet, quiet nun jump scares and a Charles Dance cameo as a guilt-ridden priest occurred, my fears began to be realised.
He does do guilt-ridden priest well, though.
Once the truly ridiculous central premise was revealed, I lost faith entirely. There are some well-executed body horror set pieces and great central performances from Nell Tiger-Free.
Yep.
The best moment of the night, however, was the car crash which induced the audience into fits of laughter rather than terror. Proper tosh, absolutely, but enjoyable nonetheless.
Yeah, there we go. I think we're pretty much on the same page.
Thank you, G.A. Doyle. Number 5 is Monkey Man, and Nicholas
was great. Go on.
Says, Dear Mark and Lard, just a quick note to say how uplifted I was when leaving a late night showing of Monkey Man on Sunday. I've seen lots of films like this over the years, but this was elevated above most of them, even John Wick. Anyway, my overall sense was that this could be summarised as the gritty love child of Blade and Gladiator, with a bit of Emerald Forest thrown in for good measure. But it wasn't so much the film's narration, editing or cinematography that left me so uplifted. It was the fact that when I was growing up, this story with this cast and its core of Indian culture could never have been made by anyone in the UK for a mass UK audience. Love the show, Steve. As always, Nicholas.
Good. I'm really glad you enjoyed it because we both did.
We did. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else.
No, I'm sorry.
So well done to Dev.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, what an action hero he
James
is.
Bond.
Dev Patel for James Bond. Campaign starts here.
Dune Part 2 is at 4.
Which I think is very good. I said they had a mountain to climb. They seem to have climbed it. We are, by the look of it, going to get Dune Part 3, which is Dune Messiah.
By the way, I should have said Monkey Man is number 2 in the States.
Wow.
So big hit for Dev.
Good for Dev.
And Jordan Peele. Number 3 here, number 3 in the States, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Nicholas from Luxembourg, brackets the country. When Mark didn't like the new Ghostbuster movie, I thought, well, we don't agree on comedies, nothing new there. But when I heard Mark's rant about the film, and it was the first big rant in a while, I was surprised. Was there something else that crawled under his skin? A movie about spirits, the undead, and living people dealing with them professionally? Could it be that Mark hated Ghostbusters so much because it's essentially the same as The Exorcist?
But it isn't. I'll tell you what is the same as The Exorcist. David Seltzer, who wrote The First Omen, I said in an interview, he was asked by 20th Century Fox to rewrite The Exorcist. They said, can you do us an Exorcist film? You went, all right.
There you go, words.
There you go.
Number 2 here, number 1 in the States is Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire.
Now, I am assured by my very good friend, the film critic Linda Marek, that it's pronounced Godzilla Kong. It is a gaming thing. I mean, I don't know because I'm 105 years old. But I said to Linda, how do you pronounce that title? And she went, it's Godzilla Kong, The New Empire. I'm just saying.
So the X is silent.
As in, yes. And because before we had Godzilla v Kong, now we've got Godzilla Kong. And as somebody brilliantly wrote on the YouTube channel, the next one is going to be Godzilla Kong. Why?
Yes, that's exactly what I've got here.
Sorry.
Michael in Berlin. Further to Simon's question in today's podcast about which letter of the alphabet comes.
Spoiled the joke.
It's Godzilla Kong. Why? Although someone else had said it's... the first one was V, so that's 5. This one is X, so that's 10. So the next one is XV. But I don't understand why the X is silent.
I don't know. Linda said it's like in a wrestling match. but I don't know anything, or a boxing match or something.
Okay. If someone could explain why the X is silent.
Linda, if you could write in and explain why the X is silent.
Because when I have a gaming question, I always think of her.
Yes,
always.
Exactly. I turn straight to Linda for that.
Eric Crawford says, gentlemen, after deep research, I asked a teenager, I've learned what that letter is all about. Apparently fan fiction titles use it to indicate who is being shipped with whom. So it's about a couple getting together, in this case, to make Bashy Crashy together.
Well, when two monsters love each other very much, they make Bashy Crashy, and that produces Mothra.
And, oh my goodness me. And number one here, 5 in the States, Kung Fu Panda 4.
Why?
No, why?
No,
why?
Exactly. Kung Fu Panda 4.
Kong.
Why?
There's a Y there as well.
No, there is just a Y. Why? I mean, why? Well, the reason is because it's at number 1.
How about Godzilla X Kong X Kung Fu Panda?
Why?
Put them all in. Put them all in together. Who would win? Anyway.
You know who would win? Dev Patel.
Always.
He would just punch all of them.
Absolutely. How about Dev Patel v. John Wick?
Actually,
Monkey Man v. John Wick.
That would be a very good.
Fantastic.
Monkey Man X John Wick.